can I hear a big roar from all of you to see that you're all still here and listening? Fabulous. We need to save our lions. Bear with me, hang on. So, I'm going to try and keep this a bit brief to keep you all alive and listening and joining in. We are thrilled to be here with you in Seattle, absolutely thrilled. Thank you for inviting us. Thank you to Emerald City Pet Rescue for inviting us to participate in such an important event. And you must tell everybody that you are here. This event coincides with the opening of CITES, the Conference of Parties in Johannesburg. It started today and it's on for a couple of weeks. Just to tell you the flavour of how that's going to go, lions were on the agenda. They should have been listed today, but they ran out of time to talk about lions. So not a good start for lions. We need everybody roaring for these guys, because you're going to find out as I tell you, we haven't got very many left now, and they're not even listed as endangered, but I'll come on to that. So, hello to everybody, and I want to say a particular hello here to Chelui for Lions. I know these guys, and it's great to see you here. So, we're going to highlight the continuing tragedy unfolding for our elephants, rhinos and lions. It's a sad tale. And what I want to tell you is it's going to take every single one of you round here to do your bit. It's not going to be enough to turn up to a march. It's not going to be enough to say you like something on Facebook. It's not going to be enough to retweet something that I write down or somebody else writes down about the terrible tragedy that's happening. You're going to have to do more. I'll tell you as we go on. Now you've heard about from the Bloodlines team, because we're talking about lions here. I'll come back briefly to Bloodlines at the end if I may, but I'm going to talk to you about the huge problems, the catastrophic decline that's happening to lions in the wild. I'm going to tell you what still needs to be done if we're going to secure a future for these lions, and I'm going to tell you, just to be a bit more optimistic, what we've already achieved. So, let's start with the basics. There has been no independent, scientific wild lion count ever. How does that work, guys? Everybody puts in their estimates of how many lions are left. And it won't be a surprise to you that most of those estimates have all been funded by guess who? Who can guess who funds the lion population count? Who knows? Anybody can tell me? Exactly. It's the hunters. They're the guys with the deep pockets. They're the guys that fund the population counts, and guess what? They tell us that we've got lions under every bush, that we needn't worry. We've got zillions of lions, they say. Actually, we've got less than 15,000 wild lions left in the wild. We have got only five populations of wild lions left in Africa that have got any hope in survival. Are we going to be putting up with that, everybody? Fantastic. Okay. So what they do, these hunters and the organisations that support the hunting community, there's a lot of corruption, is they use computer modelling and extrapolation to come up with these rosy population figures of how many they've got left. And they'll tell you that hunting, lion trophy hunting, is a valid conservation tool. How does that work? I'm going to kill this lion because it's going to help save it. How does that work? But that's what they'll tell you, and they'll tell you that in the highest level. Governments will quote that back at you. Our UK government will quote that back at you. And they'll tell you that the true conservationists in this world are the hunters. Back in 2012, we put together a scientific estimate of the remaining wild lions. And it again had to be an estimate, but ours was a little bit more realistic. And we use figures that were given to us by the Lion Range states, by independent researchers, not the ones that get funded by the hunters. And we used Lion Range state indicators such as the failed state index, the corruption perception index, poverty, and crucially, whether or not the country concerned actually had a wildlife department. If there's no wildlife department, the lions don't have much of a chance. And when we looked at that, we came up with this sad figure of only 15,000 lions left. At the time, the popular myth was that we had about 34,000 lions, over twice as many. The IUCN finally has had to accept, they've had to agree that there's probably, in their estimate, down to 20,000 lions. But that's also optimistic. So, then we look at the Western African lions. Now, Western Africa is a huge place. There are less than 500 of those lions left. And those lions are genetically distinct. And once we've lost those, that's it. Once they're gone, you can't get them back. There's another myth that the hunters will tell you, and that the zoos will tell you, and that the wildlife parks will tell you, that you can breed lions in captivity, and this is all for conservation, and you can put them back into the wild. Well, dream on. Dream on, you cannot. If a lion is born in captivity, that's it for the rest of its life. It cannot go back into the wild and survive. So we'll quash that myth right from the start. So, out of 49 continental African nations, how many of those do you think already have got extinctions of lions? Anybody can guess?